Welcome to Switch Corner, my name is Alex, and today we're taking a look at what lies in the multiverse on the Nintendo Switch. A puzzle platformer with a mature rating, something we don't see all that often, but is it gonna be worth your time? So with that luck, hit subscribe, join us here on Switch Corner for reviews and deals weekly, and let's get started. Describing itself then as a dramatic comedy, I would absolutely agree. It's got jokes aplenty, but you're never more than a few steps away from something in its story that may shift that tone. Its writing very much feels like comedy as a defense mechanism from real feelings, if anything. The idea with the story though, you are a young boy, a scientist of sorts, experimenting with the idea of parallel universes. One day a gent by the name of Everett appears, the eccentric top hat wearing individual you see on screen. Now he has the ability to travel through the multiverse, and your home experiments of sorts, they are causing him more than a few issues. Quickly though, you are swept away, and before you know it, you've agreed to be his new assistant on this adventure to reach what is a mysterious island. The why behind this journey comes out over this tale, so I won't go any further than that to avoid spoilers, but expect to hear about characters like Easy, seems kind of fondly remembered though no one can actually describe him, and then Zenith, a group who are definitely, hot on your tail. They are pursuing you throughout the game. For the most part though, the story, it's good stuff, and regarding the mature rating, there's the occasional bit of swearing, but it's no doubt a few of the themes, and first is think post-apocalyptic, a theme of characters that will die consistently. Then I also picked up on themes of loss and family. This I think is really where that mature rating is coming from. Overall though, I enjoyed the story, it's got a good pacing, the cast are mostly likeable, and I was intrigued with where the story was heading. So gameplay on this one, I'll put it out there immediately, really enjoyed it. It's a confident puzzle platformer that dials in a lot more creativity than most. Sometimes that is a positive, other times it definitely falls short a tiny bit, but I definitely appreciate the ambition. The gameplay though here, it takes place over 8 chapters, and that's kind of got like a prologue and ending of sorts attached as well. Each of these chapters though will introduce a new alternate reality which both impacts your character and the world around you in a different way. As I've said, the game's extremely almost self-reflective with its humour, but it uses that to great effect when it comes to explaining how you're going to leverage this new location to your advantage and to move forward. It's kind of like the age-old setup here of sticking to one type of puzzle for each chapter, which will gradually dial up in that difficulty across the stage. Where it succeeds though is they get really creative, and it often feels unique outside of the norm of the genre. Many games in the puzzle platforming world, they tend to stick to one idea, master it, and yeah, I think this is a bold decision that for me it paid off frequently. Over the 6 or so hours I spent with the game, it always had that curiosity around what could be coming up next, and honestly, it surprised me throughout. Think though mechanics that include a switch between the worlds, you need to use them now to progress. Think an opening city, a wall that blocks your way, jump between universes, and find this world has now been destroyed. That wall has become nothing more but like rubble, you can now kind of traverse it. It gets a whole lot more challenging than that too, don't get me wrong. Some locations overgrown, you'll use vines now to climb. There'll be areas where you can't use your powers at all, instead you need to interact with tears in the multiverse. These are particularly challenging. My 2 favourites, gravity, watch as our character flies up and down on the screen, and then a world full of poison gas, meaning you can only stay there for a few moments at a time, so you've definitely got to work quick. These changes are really well implemented. A simple tap of either trigger changes the universe in a split second, and then the rest of the controls, it basically comes down to jump and climb. That's about it. It allows you really to focus on progression and kind of mastering these mechanics. Outside of just beating the levels as well, it has a few collectibles in here called memories that add a little extra narrative to each location that you'll be switching between, and it even packs in some built-in achievements. Now I wish I could see these achievements in-game, they are actually only accessible from the main menu, but otherwise it's definitely a nice addition. Problems wise, very few honestly. In the build I had, there was the very occasional frame rate stutter. A patch has been submitted though, and they've assured me that these will be corrected. Honestly though, There's like one tiny moment where you will really notice it and a couple of loading freezes. Nothing that harm the experience, but I definitely checked this morning. That patch on release is still not live. It seems Nintendo, they are being slow about it. They submitted it actually about 2 weeks ago at this point. Then towards the end game, I did feel it kind of loses its way a little bit. Chapters 1 through 5, linear for the most part, extremely creative. You might lose your powers for short segments. In the latter chapters following 5, it goes for almost this map idea, finding keys. It's a whole lot of almost back and forth even after that map situation. And I don't know, just didn't kind of work for me. Just felt a little bit slow compared to the rest of the game, if anything. Plus, it's a whole lot of like switch-based puzzles and moving blocks. I've never found them personally all that entertaining. Very few issues though, honestly. I think it's an accomplished puzzle platformer with some shortcomings, but some ambition around using multiple mechanics, and it manages to like deliver for the majority of the experience without ever feeling like they are overcomplicating things. That different location to each chapter was a wise move that definitely paid off. Graphically then, we've got a pretty traditional pixel art style to this one, but I definitely enjoyed its accompanying effects as you make the transition. With a constant switch between two locations as well, it always led to that curiosity of what does this look like on the other side. A particular highlight, a post-apocalyptic future where some characters are still alive. Think here a happy-go-lucky barman that in the alternate threatens you with a shotgun and is surrounded by dead bodies. Again, this is one of the areas that mature rating is going to come in. It's not just the themes and the language, but what we actually see. Death is a near constant part of the imagery here, as almost a contrast to the other option available. Animations then are particularly nice as well, as our character runs, jumps and climbs. Everett is a particular highlight. His movement kind of matches how eccentric he is. The game packs in a ton of visual gags that I really enjoyed. There's an ice-based level where there's this kind of ongoing joke around Everett's speed. It just really landed with me throughout. Complaints wise, occasionally it's tough to understand what you can and can't interact with given it's all, 2D. Like think, what can I stand on? But really, that rarely got in my way. Audio finally, good stuff, not a whole lot happening on a sound effect front. Transition sounds, jump, a few bleeps for dialogue. I enjoyed the music, it shifts as you shift dimension, more complicated than it appears, and while it can be a little bit cheesy in its music at points, there was definitely moments like an almost think jazz section that stood out surrounding a casino scene. I think more sound effects would have definitely gone a long way to adding more life, but that really is a minor complaint. So the final verdict on what lies in the multiverse is a winner for me. Instantly, what surprised me was the story. It just grabbed me, and then the mechanics, with so many, they for the majority actually pay off. It packs some challenge too. I wouldn't say it's hard to figure out the steps you need to take, but delivering the action, that may take you a few attempts, especially for me personally when it came to the gravity-based level. It has issues, those sound effects are a little undercooked, and the last few chapters didn't enjoy the changes honestly, all that backtracking, but in the end, even through these moments, that urge in me to see the next mechanic and the next plot point, it kept me going. With that in mind, a great 8 out of 10 from me today, and I hope this now leads to some sort of follow-up. It's definitely a nice surprise that I've really enjoyed. Will you be adding this one to the library then, or are you holding onto that cash? A shout out then to the patrons of the channel who are going above and beyond to support Switch Corner. It helps more than you know, so thank you all so much. Then hit subscribe if you love the Switch, as much as we all do here. Join our growing family, and I'll see you all on the next video. Thanks everyone.